Welcome to the Prescott Lab Podcast, not just theory, practical science for men who refuse to fade quietly. I'm Dr. Jonathan Prescott, and let me speak to you plainly, man to man. If you haven't had a strong erection in months, maybe years, don't rush to blame your age. Because I've sat across from men in their 60s, 70s, even their 80s who came in with the same weary look you might have right now. And I've watched them walk out weeks later with something they thought was gone forever, firm, full, natural erections. No pills, no needles, no gimmicks. How? By unlocking blood flow where it matters most. Here's the part that still shocks many of my patients. The answer wasn't hiding in a prescription bottle. It wasn't some secret supplement sold online. It was already sitting quietly in their fridge. 4 everyday fruits, yes. Fruits that can unclog the tiniest blood vessels in your body. The very vessels that age steals from first. Restore those, and suddenly the energy, the confidence, even the spark of intimacy you thought had slipped away comes rushing back. Gentlemen, I've been doing this work for more than 3 decades. Veterans, retirees, husbands, grandfathers, I've seen it all. And what I'm about to share with you has helped countless men reclaim not just their performance, but their dignity. And before we go further, I want you to do one thing for me right now. Tap that like button, not just for me, for yourself. Because every time you do, you're telling the world and the YouTube algorithm that men's health after 60 matters, that your story matters. And I'll tell you this, men who commit, even in small ways like this, are the ones who see change fastest. Now lean in with me, because the truth is, it's not low testosterone that's stealing your manhood. It's not even aging. It's circulation, and the good news, you can change it starting today. When I first began practicing medicine, I did what every young urologist was trained to do: prescribe pills, order surgeries, manage symptoms. That was the script, but then something began to bother me. Some of my older patients, men well into their 60s, 70s, came back year after year with more strength, more intimacy, more spark than many men half their age. I'd ask them almost suspiciously, "What's your secret?" And do you know what they said? Not drugs. Not testosterone shots. Not some miracle powder. They said, "Doc, I changed what I eat. I take a walk with my wife every morning. I started juicing this one fruit she buys at the market." That's when the light bulb went off for me. Maybe, just maybe, medicine wasn't hiding in the pharmacy aisle. Maybe it was in the grocery store. I dug into the research. I read the clinical studies. And what I found shifted my entire career. 4 fruits, simple, affordable, available in any American supermarket, with the power to restore circulation, unclog tiny blood vessels, and breathe life back into intimacy. Not exotic superfoods shipped from the Himalayas. Not expensive supplements with shiny labels. Just real food packed with polyphenols, flavonoids, antioxidants, nature's own tools for keeping blood vessels wide, flexible, and alive. Gentlemen, here's why this matters. An erection is not magic. It's not testosterone alone. It's blood flow. The healthier your circulation, the stronger your performance. And these 4 fruits do more than help you in the bedroom. They support your heart, your brain, your energy, even your sleep. Now let me pause and turn to you directly. Which do you think matters most to you right now? More energy during the day or more power at night? Drop it in the comments. Type E for energy, type P for performance. I want to know what you're chasing, because that's where we'll direct this journey together. In just a moment, I'll walk you through each of these 4 fruits, starting with one that researchers have nicknamed nature's Viagra. It's deep red, sweet, and its juice has been studied in clinical trials for men's performance. And when my patients use it consistently, the results often surprise even them. Let's dive in. Fruit hash 1, pomegranate, the natural Viagra for older men. I want to start this section by telling you about George. George was 68 when he walked into my office. A retired accountant, divorced for almost a decade and just beginning to date again. He carried himself with quiet dignity, pressed shirt, polished shoes, but when he sat down, his eyes dropped to the floor. He leaned in close, lowered his voice, and said, "Doc, everything works except that." He pointed down, embarrassed, almost ashamed. Now I've heard that confession more times than I can count, and every time my heart goes out to the man sitting across from me. Because here's the truth, when a man loses firmness, it's not just a physical loss. It strikes at his identity, his confidence, even the way he looks in the mirror. George didn't want pills. He didn't want side effects, dependency, or the roller coaster of waiting to see if something kicked in. He just wanted to feel like himself again. That's when I told him about one of my favorite discoveries in men's health, of pomegranate, the fruit I sometimes call nature's Viagra. Now, let me be clear, this isn't magic, this isn't folklore, this is science. Pomegranate is loaded with antioxidants, and one in particular, punicalagin, has been shown to supercharge nitric oxide production in the body. And nitric oxide, gentlemen, is the chemical whisper that tells your blood vessels, "Relax, open up, let the blood flow." Think about it. Without blood flow, there is no erection, no strength, no sensation. When nitric oxide rises, blood vessels dilate, blood rushes in, and suddenly what was soft becomes firm, what was fading becomes alive again. And this isn't just theory. A clinical study published in the International Journal of Impotence Research found that men who drank a daily glass of pomegranate juice experienced measurable improvements in erection quality. Some even reported better satisfaction with intimacy. George listened, skeptical but hopeful. He agreed to try. Every day at lunch, he poured himself a small glass of pure pomegranate juice, not the sugar-filled blends, but the real 100% juice. A month later, he came back. This time, he walked into my office smiling. He leaned forward and said, "Doc, it's working, and I didn't need a prescription." That grin, that mix of relief, pride, and quiet joy is the reason I do this work. But let me tell you something else. Pomegranate doesn't just help with performance. It's a multitasker for men's health. It lowers inflammation, protects the prostate, and supports heart health. Think of it as a triple armor for men over 60, intimacy, vitality, and longevity. So how do you use it? There are 3 simple ways. Drink a small glass of pure juice daily, not from concentrate, not mixed with sugar. Eat the seeds raw. Sprinkle them over a salad or yogurt. Blend them into a smoothie for a powerful morning start. Now I want to ask you something. Imagine this. If you could get back firmness and confidence while also protecting your heart and prostate at the same time, would you commit to something as simple as drinking a glass of juice each day? Type YES in the comments if you would. And if you're skeptical, type maybe. I'll respect that honesty too. Gentlemen, George's story isn't unique. I've seen this pattern again and again. Men who had all but given up, finding a quiet solution in something nature has offered all along. But as powerful as pomegranate is, the next fruit I'm about to reveal works in a very different way. It contains a natural amino acid that your body transforms into a nitric oxide booster. And here's the part that gets my patients leaning forward in their chairs. When used right, it can start working in as little as 30 minutes. Or let's talk about it. Fruit hash 2 watermelon, nature's L-Citrulline booster. A few summers ago, I was back home in Texas visiting my parents. It was one of those brutally hot afternoons where the air itself feels heavy. My father and I had just finished working in the yard, sweat dripping down our backs, shirts clinging to our skin. He disappeared into the kitchen and came back with 2 thick slices of watermelon, bright red, glistening with juice. We sat on the porch, the cicadas buzzing, or the sunset painting the horizon orange. He handed me a slice, grinned, and said, "Son, this stuff always made me feel like a new man." At the time, I laughed it off, just another one of Dad's sayings. But later that evening, curiosity got the better of me. I dug into the science, and what I found stunned me. Watermelon isn't just a refreshing summer treat, it's a blood flow powerhouse. Here's why. Watermelon contains a natural compound called L-Citrulline. Inside your body, L-Citrulline is converted into L-Arginine, which then stimulates the production of nitric oxide. And if you've been listening closely, you know nitric oxide is the master switch for erections. It relaxes blood vessels, widens the channels, and allows blood to surge where it needs to go. Let me say it another way. Without nitric oxide, erections fail. With it, they thrive. Now here's what makes watermelon different from a supplement. Most men who buy L-arginine pills end up disappointed because much of it gets broken down in the stomach before it ever reaches the bloodstream. But L-citrulline from watermelon bypasses that problem. Your body absorbs it smoothly, converts it efficiently, and the result is a natural, side effect-free boost in circulation. And studies back this up. Research has shown that men who take L-citrulline consistently report firmer erections and greater satisfaction compared to placebo. Some of those results happen within weeks. But when you're eating watermelon, you're not just getting the amino acid, you're also hydrating your body, replenishing electrolytes, and lowering blood pressure. It's a triple win. Let me tell you about one of my patients, a retired police officer, 72 years old. Years of night shifts. Stress and poor sleep had left him worn down. He didn't want pills, he wanted something simple. I suggested he swap his nightly dessert for a bowl of fresh watermelon. He chuckled at first. "Doc, you're putting me on rabbit food." But he gave it a try. 3 weeks later, he came back shaking his head in disbelief. "Doc, I don't know what's happening, but my wife hasn't stopped smiling, and I'm sleeping better too." That's the beauty of it. This wasn't just about his performance. It was about energy, confidence, and rest. Watermelon had become his quiet ally. Now let me turn this to you. Picture yourself sitting down tonight, not with a sugary dessert or another drink, but with a chilled bowl of watermelon. Sweet, refreshing, and working behind the scenes to restore circulation. Would you try it? Type W in the comments if you're ready to give watermelon a place at your table. And here's something most men don't know. When timed right, that L-citrulline can start working in as little as 30 minutes. Imagine that, nature's own timing tool, no prescription required. But watermelon isn't the end of the story. In fact, the next fruit is even smaller, almost easy to overlook. Yet hidden inside is one of the most powerful antioxidants known to science, one that not only helps circulation, but also supports testosterone itself. Tiny fruit, big impact. And if you've ignored it until now, you're about to see it in a whole new light. Fruit #3, black grapes, tiny fruit, big circulation impact. If pomegranate is the bold warrior of circulation and watermelon is the cool, refreshing ally, then black grapes are the quiet, underestimated soldier. Tiny, modest, easy to overlook in the grocery aisle, but inside their dark skin lies a compound that has changed how I think about men's health: resveratrol. I'll never forget Howard. He was 73, soft-spoken, a retired high school history teacher. He'd been married for nearly 50 years. When he came to see me, it wasn't because of his performance, at least not at first. He said he felt tired all the time. He was moody, disconnected, snapping at his wife over small things. He confessed, "Doc, I don't even recognize myself anymore." As we talked, it became clear. His energy was down, his intimacy was slipping, his confidence was fading. And he assumed, like so many men do, that this was simply old age. But here's what I told him. Sometimes the smallest change can turn the lights back on. I recommended he add just a handful of black grapes to his daily routine. Nothing complicated, nothing expensive. Now, why grapes? Let's talk science. Resveratrol, found in the skin of black and purple grapes, is one of the most potent antioxidants known. It protects the endothelium, the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. When the endothelium is damaged by years of stress, processed food, or poor sleep, your vessels stiffen and blood flow falters. Resveratrol helps reverse that, restoring flexibility, reducing oxidative stress, and improving nitric oxide signaling. And here's the kicker. Studies suggest that resveratrol may even support healthy testosterone levels. Think about that for a moment. One tiny fruit helping both blood flow and hormones. For men over 60, that's like striking gold. Howard didn't expect much. But after 3 weeks of eating a cup of black grapes each afternoon, fresh or frozen, it didn't matter, he noticed something. His mood lifted. His energy returned. And one morning, with a small smile, he told me, "Doc, my wife says it feels like someone flipped the lights back on." That was his way of saying intimacy had found its way back into their marriage. Gentlemen, don't underestimate the small things. Sometimes what seems trivial, a handful of grapes, can restore not just performance, but connection, laughter, even the way you speak to the woman who stood by you for decades. Now let me ask you directly, how many of you eat grapes regularly? Type G in the comments if you do, and N if you almost never touch them. I want to see how many men are missing out on this tiny powerhouse. Because here's the truth, it's not the size of the fruit, it's the impact of the compound inside it. But we're not done. There's still one more fruit on this list. A fruit you've probably had with breakfast 100 times, never realizing the quiet power it holds. It works like a gentle cleanser for your arteries, scrubbing them from the inside out. And when men add it to their daily routine, circulation improves not just to the heart or brain, but to the place that defines manhood itself. Let's talk about citrus. Fruit hash 4, citrus fruits, clearing arteries from the inside. If pomegranate is bold, if watermelon is refreshing, and black grapes are subtle yet powerful, then citrus fruits are the quiet guardians. They don't shout for attention. They sit humbly on your breakfast table, oranges, grapefruits, lemons, limes. Common, familiar, almost boring. But inside those tart, bright segments lies one of the most overlooked secrets for men's circulation. Let me tell you about Bill. Bill was a 70-year-old retired Navy engineer, a man of structure and discipline. When he first came to see me, he brought with him a thick notebook filled with daily logs, what he ate, when he slept, every walk, every ache, every pill. He told me, "Doc, I've run ships across the ocean, but lately I feel like my own body is sinking." We flipped through his notebook together, page after page. One detail caught my eye. Every morning, Bill had a glass of fresh squeezed orange juice. Not from concentrate, not from a carton, fresh, hand-squeezed. I smiled and told him, "Bill, you've been doing something incredibly smart without even knowing it." Here's why. Citrus fruits are loaded with flavonoids, especially one called hesperidin. This compound strengthens blood vessel walls, reduces inflammation, and improves flexibility in the arteries. Imagine your arteries as garden hoses. When they are stiff and clogged, water barely trickles through. But when they are clean and flexible, the flow is strong and steady. That's exactly what citrus does inside your body. It keeps the hoses clear. And for men over 60, that matters everywhere blood flows, to your heart, to your brain, to your muscles, and yes, to the most intimate part of your body. But citrus doesn't stop there. It helps lower blood pressure. It reduces oxidative stress. It provides vitamin C, a nutrient essential for tissue repair and hormone production. And unlike some superfoods that cost a fortune, citrus is affordable, accessible, and available in every grocery store across America. Bill didn't need a complete overhaul. He didn't join a gym. He didn't buy exotic powders. He just kept up his daily orange juice and added slices of grapefruit to his lunch, lemon to his water, and lime to his evening tea. Over time, his walks became easier. His evenings more satisfying. He said to me, half joking, "Doc, I feel like my arteries are running on Navy engines again." Now, let me talk directly to you. Which citrus fruit do you enjoy most? Orange, grapefruit, lemon? Drop it in the comments. Type O for orange, G for grapefruit, L for lemon. And if you don't eat citrus often, type N so I know who needs the biggest push. Gentlemen, here's the bigger picture. You don't need exotic solutions. Sometimes the quietest, most ordinary foods are doing the most extraordinary work behind the scenes. Citrus fruits are the quiet protectors scrubbing, strengthening and supporting your circulation day after day. But here's the final truth. Food alone, no matter how powerful, is only half the story. If your daily habits are working against you, too much sitting, too little sleep, too much processed food, then even the best fruits can't save you. That's why in the next part, I'll show you the simple lifestyle shifts that act like gasoline on this fire. Habits so small you can start them tomorrow, yet powerful enough to change everything. Gentlemen, by now you've seen the truth. Food can act like medicine. Four simple fruits: pomegranate, watermelon, black grapes, citrus, each one helping restore blood flow, protect your arteries, and revive intimacy. But here's what I've learned after more than 30 years of practice. Food alone is never the full story. Think of your body like a ship. The fruits are the sails, catching the wind, giving you momentum. But without the right rudder, without steady navigation, the ship still drifts. That's where daily habits come in. They are the quiet captains steering you toward strength or toward decline. Let me give you a simple truth. You can eat all the pomegranate and grapes you want, but if you spend your days sitting, staying dehydrated, and sleeping poorly, you're fighting uphill. The body needs rhythm, consistency, and small daily actions repeated build results bigger than any pill. Habit #1: movement. I'm not asking you to run marathons or bench press like a 20-year-old. I'm asking you to walk, just 20 minutes a day. One of my patients, 67 years old, former mechanic, began walking after breakfast and again after dinner. No gym, no equipment, just sneakers and the open road. Within weeks, his blood pressure dropped, his mood lifted, and here's what he told me with a grin: "Doc, the firmness came back before I even lost weight." That's the power of circulation. It doesn't take years. Sometimes it takes weeks. Habit #2: hydration. Blood is 90% water. Imagine trying to pump thick syrup through tiny hoses. That's what dehydration does to your circulation. Most men over 60 don't drink enough water. Aim for a few glasses throughout the day. My personal tip: start your morning with a tall glass before coffee. It wakes up the blood, primes the system, and gets your circulation flowing before you even take your first step outside. Habit #3: sleep. Gentlemen, testosterone is rebuilt in the night. Vessels repair in the night. Your body doesn't restore while you're awake, it restores while you sleep. If you snore, wake up groggy, or need naps just to stay upright, that's your body begging for help. One patient of mine, 74, simply fixed his bedtime routine, dimmed the lights earlier, cut out late-night TV, and within a month his morning energy shot up, and so did his desire. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a hormone factory. Habit #4: limit the enemies. I've got to be blunt here: processed meats, fried foods, excess alcohol. These are not neutral. They directly attack your endothelium, the same lining of your arteries the fruits we discussed are trying to heal. Every slice of bacon, every greasy fry, every extra drink is undoing what your body is working so hard to fix. You don't need perfection, but you do need awareness. Cut back, respect your circulation. Now, let me pause and speak to you directly. If you had to choose just one habit to start tomorrow: walking, drinking more water, improving sleep, or cutting down processed food, which one would it be? Drop it in the comments. Type 1 for walking, 2 for hydration, 3 for sleep, 4 for cutting the junk. I read your answers, and sometimes the smallest choice written down here is the spark that keeps you accountable. Gentlemen, habits are the soil, fruits are the seeds. When you put them together, life grows again. Circulation improves, energy returns, intimacy revives, and confidence, real, lasting confidence, takes root. But I know what you're asking yourself right now: "Doc, how long will this take? If I start today, when will I feel it?" That's the question every man asks me, and it's the one I'll answer next. Because knowing what to do is one thing, believing it's possible for you, that's another. Gentlemen, if you've stayed with me through this entire conversation, I want to speak to you now not as a doctor lecturing from behind a desk, but as a man who sat across from thousands of patients who felt exactly what you're feeling. I know what it means when intimacy fades. I know the quiet frustration when your body doesn't respond the way it used to. I know the way pride takes a hit when the man in the mirror doesn't look like the one you remember. And I know too many men are told the same tired story. It's just your age, learn to accept it. But after 30 years, I can tell you this, age alone is not the villain, circulation is, and circulation can be restored. You've now learned about 4 simple fruits of pomegranate, watermelon, black grapes, citrus. Each one backed by science, each one used by real men to bring blood flow back online. You've heard the stories, George, the accountant who regained his spark with pomegranate, the retired police officer who found new life with watermelon, Howard, the teacher who rediscovered intimacy with black grapes, Bill, the Navy engineer whose arteries ran smoother thanks to citrus. These men aren't special. They're not exceptions. They are proof that you can fight back, proof that what you thought was gone may only be sleeping. And when you pair these foods with simple habits, walking, hydration, real sleep, cutting the junk, you create conditions for healing. Real, lasting healing, no gimmicks, no side effects, no empty promises, just the body responding the way it's built to when you finally give it what it's been missing. So let me say this clearly, you are not broken, you are not too old, and you are not out of chances. I've watched men in their 60s, 70s, even 80s reclaim energy, confidence, intimacy not because they found a magic pill, but because they honored their circulation, their daily rhythm, their choices. If they could do it, why not you? The first step is always small, a glass of juice, a walk after dinner, a better night's sleep. These are not just habits, they are declarations. They are you saying, I am not done yet. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 4 fruits will you try first? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you've felt something stir inside you listening to this, something whispering that maybe, just maybe, it's not too late, then don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button. Share this with a brother, a friend, a man who needs to hear it. Because the more we spread this message, the more men we save from silence and shame. And finally, subscribe, not for me but for yourself. Because each week I'll be here, science in one hand, compassion in the other, bringing you the tools you need to live stronger, longer, more confidently. Gentlemen, you've given so much in your lifetime to your families, your communities, your country. Now it's time to give something back to yourself. The journey is not over. In fact, it can begin again right here, right now. This is Dr. Jonathan Prescott, and I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay strong, stay hopeful, and never forget you're not broken.